You're telling me that after 50 women have to speak up against this guy who raped them, 50 people, they waited for 50 people and then still they were like, oh, it could have happened? Welcome back to my channel, Nadine Speaks. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are not a subscriber, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below right here and give this video a like if you're liking my videos on controversial topics. So I posted a video the other day on if healthcare is a right or a privilege, and then I discussed George Floyd's massacre in my previous video. If you have not seen it, I will link it up above right here, but like I said in that video, I have a lot of thoughts and I would like to unpack them about the abuse of power, the judicial system, how we seek justice for victims of abuse, and how people who are not only in positions of power but are filthy rich cannot buy their way out of the system. Because if they can buy their way out of the system, then how is justice ever going to be reached? And that automatically shows that the system is already discriminating against people without money. Because I don't know if you ever heard that Good Charlotte song, Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous. They're always complaining. Dude, go listen to that song by Good Charlotte, Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, because I'm not even kidding you. I think that's how, when I was growing up, I realized that the system was flawed. Because if you look at the lyrics of that video, it basically says that, oh, don't worry if you get caught smoking crack, you can always run for the mayor of DC. I think that's where I started thinking, oh, the system's fucked up and fuck the system, and my rebelliousness started because I got enraged listening to that Good Charlotte song. She could kill your wife and there's no such thing as 25 to life, as long as you got the cash to pay for Cochran. Let me know if you are a true emo kid down below. I'd like to know. But I digress. So let's unpack this whole documentary. This is my full review. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm addicted to watching documentaries. I watch documentaries about everything and anything under the sun. I like nature documentaries. I like drug documentaries. I like documentaries unveiling the conspiracies and the wrongdoings of people, period. So also like true crime and murder docs, and just how people find loopholes and get their way out of going to jail. That's crazy to me, how someone can blatantly disrespect the law 50 times or more in Jeffrey Epstein's case, and even so they were still questioning if he was guilty or not. I mean, woo! So the documentary starts out, and I forgot how many episodes this is, but it starts talking about these two sisters. So the first sister, okay, so before I even start, each person had the same exact story. This was the story. Jeffrey Epstein was looking for a masseuse. First of all, you're a little girl, you're 14, 15, and you want some money, and you see this guy shelling out dough for a masseuse, and you're like, girl, that's easy. I just have to, you know, do that a little times and I get $200. Who doesn't want to do that? Whoa. But guys, this is an equivalent to a man going around in a white van and giving candy to little kids and saying, come in my van. It literally is the same thing, but he's using a masseuse and a massage. And it turns out that this wasn't just a massage. Yes, this guy wanted a happy ending and more. And it turns out he was not the only one who wanted a happy ending, as we see how the documentary unfolds. So you get this first story of two sisters in 1996, long ass time ago. I mean, the 90s from now is 30 years ago. So the Jeffrey Epstein thing literally just happened last year, where we saw him get indicted and prosecuted. So 1996, this woman tells this story. Oh, we need to be a masseuse. I give him a little massage, and then all of a sudden I was raped. Okay. And then they were scared because of course this man has a lot of money, has a lot of power. He can talk throughout the town and tarnish this girl's reputation. Then the girl recruits her sister and Jeffrey Epstein promises, I'm gonna pay your education. Well, you know, when everyone's going through debt, and then this is in the 90s when debt wasn't even barely even a problem. And she was like, hell yeah, I wanna go to Spain, pay for me. And she gets paid, and then the sisters start talking and they're like, fuck, you were raped too? So was I. And they go to the FBI, and now they have statements with the FBI, but they're only 2 people, and you know, this guy's filthy rich, so he's shelling out the dough for people to shut up, and that is where it ends. It ends right there. And then years and years go by, the sisters don't get their justice, and they're pretty pissed off. Why not? Somebody raped them, they didn't get the justice they needed, and their lives are ruined. I don't know if people know this, but when someone's sexually assaulted, they don't feel worthy to live anymore, and their mental health, their state of being, not only did this happen at a very traumatic time for them, they were children, they were under the age of 18, but they don't know how to process this moving forward into their adult life. So going on in the documentary, we hear of more and more cases of the same story. Jeffrey Epstein is asking for a masseuse. The people, he actually has women that are close to him recruiting these girls, so they're not innocent either, and I still wonder if they've even been prosecuted, because that was not even explained at all in the documentary. He has this one girlfriend who is like, come hither, little girl. It almost reminds me of that fable, what is it, Hansel and Gretel, when they go to the lady's house with the candy. It's almost the same shit, like, come, come, little children. Like Hocus Pocus too. Like, I just realized, honestly, like Hocus Pocus is like low-key pedophilic, because they're like, come, little children, I'll take you away. No, like that has to stop. Like, what? How is that okay? I don't know. I'm confused by the whole world nowadays. Now my mind's like being blown even more. It's like, wow, the pedophiles have really stepped their game up to get people to rape them. And then you realize that not only does Jeffrey Epstein have a lot of money, he knows a lot of famous people. Some of them that are duly noted in the documentary are our president, our former president, Bill Clinton, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, among many other individuals that are in our high society even still to this day. Harvey Weinstein, basically the whole Me Too movement. The Me Too movement happened and came and went, and Jeffrey Epstein still was not prosecuted. I find that appalling. If that doesn't say that our judicial system is flawed, I don't know what is anymore. So then the whole documentary ensues, and we keep getting these stories from more and more individuals of this, that they were his masseuse and they got raped, and some of them stayed with him for years because they were so scared of leaving. And not only were they raped, but they recruited other girls to be raped. So that's when it got kind of messy, because now the judicial system was deeming them as prostitutes because they accepted money for sexual favors. And so that's where I think it got all messed up, because now they're not only victims, but now the law is looking at them as they broke the law as well, like they were prostitutes. And that whole thing does not make any sense to me. Like, the laws need to be rewritten on that, because in my mind, how can a child prostitute themselves? Like, if we're saying that the age of consent is 18 and you cannot consent to anything legally until you're 18, then how can you prosecute a child for prostitution? Like, that doesn't make, in what right mind would some adult think like, oh yeah, the child would want to prostitute themselves for money, like they willingly did that? It blows my mind why a grown man would deem a young girl like, oh, she prostituted herself, it was her fault. That's basically what happened when the FBI put together their, I think it was like an 82-page summary of all the victims, and they handed it to the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney at Florida, because this all happened in Palm Beach in Florida, and Jeffrey Epstein's like random ass pedo island. But basically they gave this 120, I don't know, a long ass page document to the US attorney at the time in Florida. That was Alexander Acosta. And now a little background on Alexander Acosta. Whose cabinet was he a part of? Trump. He was part of Trump's party not too long ago. Like, this would happen like last year, which is very, very troublesome for me to even think of, especially when Trump was confronted on who Jeffrey Epstein was. He was like, oh, I haven't talked to that fool in 15 years. Well, it's hard for me to believe that you have not heard of that fool in 15 years, because sitting in your right-hand Secretary of Labor was the guy who excused what he did. So let me back up. So basically they gave this 82 page summary to the Alexander Acosta. He was the US attorney of Florida at the time, and behind all the police officers' back, they basically had, they call it a sweetheart plea deal, in which Epstein pleaded guilty to only 2 charges. I don't think even any of them were felonies, and he had to stay 18 months in a district jail. So that was the conclusion of that, and that happened in, I think, 2008. So fast forward to last year, 2019, when all this was going down. Basically the FBI just kept getting so many women. They finally got enough evidence, which another thing to point out is, why do we have to have 10 million fucking cases of women? Why isn't one case enough? This is crazy. So after 50, you're telling me that after 50 women have to speak up against this guy who raped them, 50 people. They waited for 50 people, and then still they were like, oh, it could have happened? Are you telling me that not only one case of rape is enough? Are you telling me that a guy has to rape 50 women for him to go to jail, or even think about prosecuting him if he has all that money? So later on, when the FBI is finally doing their prosecution and they go to court and they're trying Jeffrey Epstein, this all happened last year, mind you, when the first case of rape happened in 1996. So from this is saying from 1996 till 2019, he kept raping people. Like, what? How many, I just want to say, like, how many Jeffrey Epsteins are there out there? How many? Does anybody remember Pizzagate? Does anybody remember that? It's really interesting hearing these things and then remembering Pizzagate. Let me know down below, and put an emoji, put a pizza emoji down below in the comments if you remember what Pizzagate was in Clinton. So the news breaks out from this court case that they go back to Jeffrey Epstein's house, and not only do they find pictures upon pictures in a safe of underage women, so pedophilic pictures. One, they find fake passports. So not only are we dealing with pedophilia on a domestic front, this is now like an international human trafficking case. And here's the kicker, they find a whole room of like computer monitors basically surveilling every room. So they have on camera people abusing women. Actually, I don't even know if they have that, because I still have a lot of questions. So they are under the assumption that Epstein was recording these people of power with these young underage women to later blackmail them, which is fucking crazy too, because not only do you have a human trafficking thing, you have a whole blackmail thing. And that's probably why Epstein was fucking rich, because he would blackmail all these people in power and be like, huh, look what I got on you now, give me the money. So that's why he has an island in the Virgin Islands, the pedophilic island. And here's another kicker, guess who was a person of power who was on his private plane 26 times? Can you guess? President Clinton. And so this is why when Clinton was running against Trump, it's like, can we even pick someone? Because it's like rape, person who condones rape versus person who condones rape. Can you even pick someone to run for, like, can you even pick someone for president at that point if they both condone rapists? It's hard to believe that they didn't know what was going on. It's hard to believe people of power did not know this was going on. It's very easy to assume from a third-party perspective that this could have all been taken care of a long time ago if someone in power said said that this was not right. Because not only do you have President Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein, you have all of the Prince Andrew, the Duke of York with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, all these people of power in different countries not saying anything, and all these women being abused that are silenced. This is the world that we live in. When you're raped, you're silent. When you're a rapist, you're president. If you're a pedophile, you're president or a Duke of York. But if you're a rapist, you are left to be buried in the ground, and you're going to be basically silenced for your whole life and not validated in how you feel and what you've experienced. So this is the world that we're living in, and that's why I'm really outraged and depressed lately. I'm gonna do a video on the collective consciousness and how as a collective we need to raise the vibration of what's going on and stand up for what is right. Now that I've kind of like recapped the documentary and we all know the end, he hangs himself. There's even questions on like conspiracies on if he actually died that way, if he was actually committed suicide. The guy at the very end, the guy who does the autopsy report, actually says like there's no way that this guy could have broken thyroid bone in like 3 different places. It's extremely rare. So he's basically alluding to the fact that this guy did not commit suicide. He's like, I've done this for years and I've never seen this. So who are we believing here? The person who's done this for years, or, you know, the people in power? I don't know. I can't tell you what to believe. I can just tell you to think for yourself, because this shit ain't right. It's not right. So, questions. What are my questions at the end? What about all the people who helped him recruit women? So these are the people who did not like prostitute themselves, but actually helped recruit women and were of age of majority. So this includes his girlfriend, and there's like several other women. And all the men who hung out with this dude at his place at the island, why aren't we going after them? Why aren't we going after the people like the Duke of York? Why aren't we going against President Clinton? Why aren't they investigating this shit? Like, I don't know if it's being investigated and they're just not telling us, but how do we call for an investigation? That's what I'm telling you. Like, I'm just little old me living my life, but I want to tell them to investigate these people, because this shit is not okay, and I'm scared with all these people in power just living their lives and nobody doing anything about it. What is up with this? I mean, like, something needs to be done, but I don't know how to do it. Let me know in the comments down below if you know how to call for an investigation or further investigation on people from a prior investigation. I don't know how to do that. If you haven't watched the documentary, watch the documentary. Tell me your thoughts down below. Let me know what kind of questions you are coming up with. What else should we need to know? I thought it was very sad that at the end the victims were like, fuck dude, he committed suicide, now what? Now what can we do? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel bad for them. I'm glad they were able to get their voice heard in this documentary. Another big thing is that 2 days before he killed himself, he actually put all his money in his estate in the Virgin Islands, so the victims could not even been compensated for all the emotional damages. I find that really fucked up. What about you? If you're liking these videos that I'm doing on all these random topics, because I got a lot to say, let me know down below. Give me a big thumbs up if you like what I'm doing, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Nadine Speaks. I'm gonna try to be consistent in uploading every week, and thanks for watching. Bye guys.